Okay, item 4, Madam Pro Tem, is the Facilities Management Committee report. Brenda Craig.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate that. The Facility Management Committee met on Wednesday, February the 5th, and we had 3 items up for discussion. The detail of these items are in your agenda packet. I'm just going to go through the summary of it.
Okay.
Item number 1 was the proposed ordinance modification to regular donation drop boxes. Staff provided a draft ordinance for the committee's consideration to amend, which would amend Chapter 8 by adding a new Article 2, Division 7, entitled Regulation of Donation Drop Boxes. This ordinance would regulate the placement of unattended clothing donation containers by adding a requirement that a permit from the city must be obtained before a drop box can be placed, and would include existing donations drop boxes. Also, the donation box must be as far away as possible from the entrance and exits of surrounding buildings. The draft ordinance states that operators of existing boxes would have 30 days to obtain a permit. Also, any violations of the provision of the proposed ordinance would be subject to a $50 penalty. There was a lot of discussion about that, and we did have individuals that made presentations to the committee, and the committee voted unanimously to approve the proposed ordinance with the following modifications. And the modifications are 1, 2, and 3. 1, 2. But at this point, we're not asking the full council to vote on this because there's some things that that the committee asked staff to put into the ordinance that is not here in your packet. We also did not agree on what the fees would be for not having the permits. So what I would like to ask the council is we will bring this back once the final ordinance has been drafted and presented at that time with the ordinance changes and with the penalties. And meantime, we will have some discussion regarding the wood boxes. So at this point, I'm presenting this just as information from the committee.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
Questions?
Okay. Item number 2 was proposed change to street name policy. The city received requests to make major changes to street names. These changes usually involve duplication or similar names that cause confusion. And so staff presented some information that do we have to have a public hearing for name changes, and the committee voted unanimously to not have public hearing to name changes to the policy, and I put that in a form of a motion.
Okay. Is there
Second.
a Yes. Second. Okay. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I would like my street name changed. Currently,
No, we're not naming
it is, no, not naming it Gallagher. Currently, it's called Bucknell Avenue. And it's listed that way on the streets, maps and all that. However, when you go into Google or somewhere else, they always say Bucknell Street. I'd like to know how I go about get that straightened out.
You need to call Google.
Call Google.
You said it's wrong in Google, then call Google.
So is there somebody here that could help me?
Yeah, we'll contact Google.
And Google that.
If they can't work that out, we'll have to condemn those houses. But,
You just
If
messed
you
up
look-
a few
if-
minutes ago, he called Main Street, it should be Main Avenue.
That's
Main
right.
Avenue. All
because
the
of-
streets that go east and west
East.
are avenues, the ones that go north and south.
If
are
you
streets.
look on what's in your packet in reference to the name changes, you can see the similarities, and they're very simple, but they make it much easier for our first responders to get to them, because sometimes there's crossovers. So if you look at that, I don't think it's pretty self-explanatory. Okay?
Comment.
And hopefully Google will help you, Mr. Gallagher.
Will they straighten out Hoffman Road and Robinwood Road down there by Neil Hawkins Road, where it kind of changes names, even though you're going straight? No?
That would be up to us, and that is just the way those roads are done. And if you would make a major change like that, then you will be impacting a lot of different property.
You worry about Hoffman and Robinwood and street names changing. Go live in Charlotte for about 10 years. That'll drive you
Maybe Peachtree
crazy.
and,
Queens and Queens? No.
The intersection of Queens, and Kings.
or,
Yeah, I was
I'd
gonna
like
say
to
that-
call the question, please.
well, he
what
had
you
raised
said,
it
the
down.
county, years ago, when I was a county commissioner, had a massive undertaking to change the duplicate names. And there were a lot of names, like Ms. Craig Stoner, that were the same ones, and it really confused the police and they didn't know which one to go to.
Right.
And so the county did that. It took several years. We've got all that straightened out, most of it.
Okay. Now you call the question.
Call the question.
We'll have to vote on that, huh?
Yeah, vote to call the question.
All in favor of calling the question? Opposed? Okay, question's been called. Now, all in favor of the proposed change to street name policy, item 2, on exhibit 4-1, raise your hand, please. Okay, thank you. Opposed? It is
Okay, item number 3, other related matters. A request by council to update municipal airport was provided to the committee. The committee recommended a more comprehensive report be developed and brought back to the next meeting, so there's no action that needs to be taken on that.
Okay.
Item number 2, e-waste program. The potential addition of an e-waste component was discussed with the committee. This is being structured to look similar to the spillover fee structure and pickup procedures. Discussion was held during the budget sessions. The committee also discussed the relocation of solid waste to the utility committee, as it now is being run as an enterprise fund. Okay. The committee agreed that solid waste should be moved to the utility committee, and I will make that in a form of a motion if that need be. Does that need to be a motion, or can we just turn it over to the? We did not actually vote on it in the committee meeting. We just agreed to turn it over to the utility committee.
You want us to vote just to be safe?
Yeah, I was going to say, just to be on the safe side, it might not be a bad idea because of the way the committee structure is set up to have a vote on records.
Okay, I make that in the form of a motion.
Second.
discussion. All in favor? It is.
Thank you. That's the end of my report.
Thank you for that report. City Attorney's report. Leslie. Anything under the, under the City Attorney's report?
I'm sorry, no, I have nothing
Okay.
to report.
All right. City Manager's report, Mr. Munn.
Mayor, members of council, a couple other items that pertain to the snow event. What we will do, and what we do with any major event, we do an after-action evaluation. So we'll get everybody together and see what we can do. Hopefully, Councilman McAteer is wrong, and we're not going to have another snowstorm, but we may. We may have one in 2 weeks. And so we will go through what happened and what we learned from it. Sometimes the list of streets, the primary priority streets change. Hills, new problems with hills and bridges are identified, things like that. Different procedures are changed. So then we'll make changes to our plan. Also, I wanted to highlight communications. It's interesting now because we have Blackboard. We have other ways now to communicate, and we were using Blackboard and referring people to the website. One of the aspects of Blackboard, which is this direct message that we can send people in emergencies. If people don't have landlines, if they would contact us through the website, the city's website, we can set them up on their cell phones and able to give them information during emergencies like that. But we were spending some time trying to decide, well, how best to communicate now. We just have a lot more ways to communicate in the event of an emergency. So, and each emergency is a little different. But we're getting together to say, well, yes, let's send out another Blackboard message, or, well, no, let's wait till the afternoon. And what is it that we want to tell them? And sometimes if we're going to have more elaborate information, we'll try to use the website. But any of the, as we go forward, any of the input that you get, just forward it to us in terms of whether or not our communication is as good as it should be, or ways that we can make it better and less confusing in a generally confusing time. And the only other thing with regard to the ARC and that softball game, I remember specifically every time people talk about the ARC and the softball that I went there, and at the last minute, right as the game was starting, they said, you be the pitcher. And I didn't have any chance to warm up, and they let me, I think, have like maybe 2 throws. And so the first batter was Libby McAteer. And I think it was either the first pitch or the second pitch, I hit her. And yes, and everyone, yeah, and I do apologize for that. And every time someone mentions the ARC and softball, I think of hitting Libby, and I apologize.
She made a home run out of that.
I know. Yeah. Thank you.
I remember that.
Nothing
well.
else in your report, basketball or anything, nothing else?
Pardon me?
Basketball, you don't have anything to talk about.
Oh, yes. Yeah, the University of North Carolina,
Yeah.
the University of Pittsburgh, and how about that, Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right. City council report. Ms. Gregg.
Thank you, sir. I don't have but just one little tidbit. I'd like to wish Chief Welch a belated happy birthday. Did you have a birthday yesterday? Did you have a good time? Wonderful, wonderful. Happy birthday, Chief Welch. That's my report.
That's a good one. Those are good things to keep having.
No report.
They certainly are.
No report?
Okay. Mr. Gallagher?
Yes, sir. I have a letter here from the mayor of New Bern regarding electricities. It's just going to give you a little insight on how this city's thinking about what's going on with the merger in the eastern part of North Carolina. Just something for fun reading later. You don't have to look at it right now. The other item is, during the snowstorm, I was staying, I couldn't get to Charlotte, so what I did was I was working from City Hall. Of course, I could do that through the computer and do my job that way. The snow was coming down real heavy, and Chief Welsh came in to speak to Ed, and I was in Ed's office, and he said to Ed that they were putting chains on 2 of their vehicles. And Ed looked out and saw that Duran's Jewelers, Mr. Duran was still at the shop, and the snow was coming down a lot. So Chief Welsh said that he would go over and let him know that he needs to leave. So he went over there, and I was in Ash's, I left, and I went in Ash's room, and we're both looking out, and he went in there to tell Duran. He didn't just go in there to tell Duran, but Chief Welsh came back out and cleared his car off for him. And Ash looked at me and goes, you know, Jim, this is still a small town, and it's just a good thing. And Chief Walsh, I just have to say thank you very much, sir. That was a kind act. That's a random kindness, and we need more of that in the city. Thank you. And that is my report, sir.
Dr. Grove?
I have no report.
Mr. Kimball?
Thank you, Your Honor. Two items. Flip, if I could cue you. Thank you. Under the save the date, Cancer Services of Gaston County is going to be having their annual Faces of Hope. We have that up, I think?
I don't think it is on the Elmo yet. If they could cue that up in the TV room in the back. There it is.
Great. Folks, April 4th, they're going to be having a silent auction, and spend some time with this group. And one of the best things about the Cancer Services of our Gaston County is that the money that's spent at this and other events goes to folks that live right here. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't go where it's mailed away, or, you know, you find out that there's some groups that are a little bit, you know, and maybe substandard in giving back to the communities that they raise money in. These are for the folks that live right here in the community and sometimes really need some help. So hopefully that we can turn out and support this group. I think they're a wonderful bunch of folks to work with. My wife was, I think she might be home now, was with, had a meeting there tonight about setting everything up. So again, that'd be great. That's going to be at the Stowe Botanical Garden again. Second item I have is the Central Indiana Council of Governments. I have copies of the 2012-2013 annual report for everyone. Some interesting reading about growth, the economy, and what the costs are of government throughout our area. So I'm going to pass those out, and that's all I have. Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, sir. I walked out and had put the program at the door, and it's still there, about Sunday. I attended Alpha Kappa, I think it's called, right down the street here at St. Stephen's, and it is so the national, and of course they have local chapter, very, very strong chapter of it's of course African American women, and that was an excellent crowd there, and they gave some awards away. Mr. Ted Ross from T. Jeffers won an award, and I told him I was going to have him here tonight to present it to him, but he won. He was the very first one to win a civic award over there. But it was a great meeting, and a lot of people were there. I think that's everything. Unless anyone's forgotten anything or has anything else, it's 20 till 8. So I guess we can move that we adjourn. Second. All in favor? It's all in favor. Get up. That's right.